about, which is what he's been working on to fix this. I don't even know what the right word is for it, so I'll just let him explain it. The Social Security system here in the country. Good morning, Congressman Keating. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Chris. I might have to abbreviate this. I'm heading to a very sad event. There is the funeral for Chief Warrant Officer Scott Landis, who was with our Army National Guard and was on bereavement leave. Some of your listeners might have followed the story. Bereavement leave because of his father's passing. And his father wanted the ashes spread over the town of Hanson. And he and his brother spread those ashes, and Scott Landis was a pilot. But tragically, the plane, as they were doing that, crashed, and Scott was killed, and his brother seriously injured. So a very tragic event this morning, and our prayers with his family. Yeah, very, very, very tragic. Actually, you've lost a couple of good men in your district this year, unfortunately, to bizarre circumstances. Congressman, we have had this question. We've answered it before, but sometimes, repetition. Some people didn't hear it. You have been working on a piece for Social Security down there. Explain to people what happens for certain people in Massachusetts, and only some states too, with Social Security if they have a private retirement, and what you folks have been working on down on that. Yes, it's the certain states, because of the WEP bill, and they call it windfall profits. It's really not. And people that have worked. And families have worked in the private sector, and they have a state pension or a local pension, and they have also qualified for Social Security that they put money into themselves. In these states, some of that money's offset, so you're not getting your full retirement that you paid into here in Massachusetts, and in some states they get both. So if you live in a different state, you're getting both. That was a decision made when there was changes made way under President Reagan. And there's a bill in that came very close to going forward. And I know a lot of you listeners are concerned with it because I've gone around talking to people. And Richard Neal, who's the Massachusetts representative, who's the ranking member on Ways and Means, and Kevin Brady, who's the chairman from Texas of Ways and Means, both of them on a bipartisan effort, have been working on this. They were very close. And what stalled it last time was, when there's a change in spending money for the government, you have to find a place to make up for that. And they couldn't, there was a disagreement from others about what happened. So I'm very optimistic in the next Congress. Maybe the end of this Congress in the lame duck session that we can get, move forward with that bill. I know that you've been working on it. We've had some of our callers in the past ask about it, and then they missed your answer. So I wanted to give them an opportunity to hear. There's some reason for optimism. I know they've heard for years this has been worked on, but there was actually some movement, and I think there'll be continued movement. There's an element of fairness, I believe, involved in this. This is money that people and families put in. And it's bizarre because it's just because you live in Massachusetts, but it may not be the case if you live in another state. That's right. Which seems really wrong, right? It was decisions. Yeah, it was decisions. These decisions were made when there were changes way back into the early '80s. Right. So, Congressman, what other things are cooking down there? I know you're always interested in trade, and we've got some new trade stuff going on here. What's cooking down there in Washington? Well, with all this talk about the trade retaliations and trade back and forth and the threats, I think there's a solution here. I worked establishing what's called the TTIP caucus. It's the transatlantic trade partnership between the European Union and the United States. With all this brewing and the talks about going to zero tariffs, part of that agreement was to cut the tariffs and try and standardize some of the products so that there's an even swap back and forth and a level playing field. And the results would be enormous. In Massachusetts alone, there would be a 28% increase in exports year one. So we really stand to gain a great deal. And, with all the talks that are going on with the administration and these other countries, I think there could be some common ground. I talked to a U.S. senator who's a Republican on their branch, as well as many of the people on our branches. And within Congress, there's a great support for this, unlike the Pacific Agreement, where there was a lot of controversy. So I think, I'm looking at all the controversy that you just mentioned in terms of tariffs right now as an opportunity to come together on this, and something the administration might
embrace.
Well, that's actually, we're speaking with Congressman Bill Keating. So you're optimistic.
I think there's a window of opportunity here because everyone's talking generally about the same thing. These agreements are hard to work out, but there was great support for it, and really the roadblock to it a couple of years ago, was because of the Pacific, the trade partnership with the Pacific coming first, and that was dead on arrival, but it really was an obstacle to dealing with this issue.
Because I would think, Congressman, that just because of our labor laws are similar, to Europe. Certainly, they're certainly a lot different. Certainly more similar to Europe than they are to China. And we have a lot of similar customs, and we're so close to Europe. Truthfully, and it would really benefit probably Massachusetts in particular, right?
It would not only benefit us as a state; it would benefit the country. But here's the thing: the real culprit in all of this is China. And if we join together in a partnership with the European Union, we would have 1/2 the world's GDP and some of the standardization. We'd have 1/2 the world's GDP. Then we're in a position to really influence China's activities.
We're speaking with Congressman Bill Keating. Congressman, I know you have to get going to that funeral for the warrant officer in your district who died so tragically. I mean, you couldn't make that up. Really, that story's so sad. So we'll let you go. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend.
Well, it's a reminder too, I think, as we go through another holiday weekend, that we do have people serving us across the world, risking their lives day to day and so many fronts. Let's remember them during this Labor Day because they're not here enjoying the cookouts and the family times that we are able to enjoy because of them.
Right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Have a great day, Congressman. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks. Bye-bye. That was Congressman Bill Keating, who's our congressman down here, and wanted to get him on for this week. As you know, we do a weekly segment with the congressman. Sometimes it's longer than others, but obviously he had to get off to a funeral. What a sad story that is. If you don't know, we have it on WBSM.com. Gentleman came home from the Army. He's a warrant officer. They were going to spread the dad's ashes. The dad was cremated and spread his ashes. And the plane he was flying crashed. He and his brother both, I think they both died. One of them certainly died. The funeral's today. I believe both brothers died, though. So there's the mother. She's just lost her husband. The sons go up to spread his ashes, and they get killed in a freak plane accident. Bizarre. Really bizarre. Sad story, You really couldn't make it up. Tell you what, we'll take a very quick break here on 1420 WBSM. Then we come back when we go to the phones. If you're on hold, stick around. We will get back to you on 1420 WBSM.